Over the last 6 years, OnePlus has gone from being a scrappy startup to one of the largest manufacturers of premium smartphones. And they've done that by creating a persona. Love them or hate them, OnePlus gets an outsized amount of media coverage and enthusiast interest for the amount of phones they actually sell. This year alone, OnePlus has gone from being the media villain when releasing the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro for ever higher prices to the media darling releasing the OnePlus Nord at less than $400. Unfortunately, the OnePlus Nord is not available in the United States, and so if you want a OnePlus phone in the United States for under $500, you have to go back and get the OnePlus 7T. The OnePlus 7T was widely regarded as an excellent phone for the price when it was released late last year. But is that still the case? This is InnoIso, and this is the OnePlus 7T in 2020 review. For several years, OnePlus has largely followed the design trends of other manufacturers. Their designs are good and premium, but not necessarily incredibly unique. The OnePlus 7T does come in this striking blue gradient color, which I find to be absolutely beautiful. The color reminds me of when you might mix multiple flavors of Gatorade. And like Gatorade, it's a refreshing departure from some of the more watered down designs that you get in other phones this year. The display on the OnePlus 7T is amazing. It's got great colors, great brightness, and it's 90 Hz. As I've said in the past, I can't personally distinguish between 90 Hz and 60 Hz displays, but many reviewers have pointed out that it's difficult to go back to 60 Hz from a higher refresh rate. My real disappointment with the screen is the notch. Yes, it is smaller than the notch you'd find on the iPhone, but the curvy teardrop does not look good to me, and I really don't like it bumping into whatever content that I might be watching. For that reason, I actually prefer turning off the notch in software and really just having a large upper bezel instead. One small point is I have had issues with automatic brightness on this and other OnePlus phones that I don't tend to get on other phones. I'm not sure exactly why, but it could have to do with the positioning of the ambient light sensor. All in though, I still love this display. Whether it's the 90 Hz display, the incredible internals, or the smooth software, this phone has excellent performance. Even though it sports last year's Snapdragon 855 Plus processor, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference in day-to-day use. Opening apps, swiping through Twitter, YouTube, or Reddit all feels seamless and very, very fast. Personally, I don't put a lot of stake in benchmarks or app loading times, and I don't play a lot of games, so maybe the story will be different for you if you do find you have more intensive things to do on your phone. But based on the several OnePlus phones that I've used, I can be confident that this phone will last a very long time and have great performance for very, very long into the future. Even more so than Samsung phones that might get bogged down by more heavy software. The software on OnePlus phones is what consistently puts them above their competitors. It's clean, fast, and subjectively very pretty. Even on this phone, which was T-Mobile branded, the number of bloat apps that came preloaded were quite limited. Now there still are some duplicative apps between OnePlus and Google, but I don't find that to be a huge issue. Icons and color customization are quite easy, and there are several features unique to OnePlus phones that come here, like the mute slider. Now, I have very few complaints with the software, but not zero. Like I said before, OnePlus phones are incredibly fast, but it almost feels like at times the swipe sensitivity is turned up to the max. And so when I'm scrolling through apps, it seems to jump faster than I want it to, and I often scroll right over whatever app I'm looking for. In addition, while it might be hard to see as a flaw, OnePlus really hasn't changed their software much from the OnePlus 2 released years and years ago. If you look at it side by side, it's actually quite similar. Now, you could say that that's just a testament to how far ahead they were so long ago, but I would argue that other manufacturers have made great strides in the design and functionality of their software since then, and so I don't think the gap is that large anymore. Design is subjective, so I definitely won't say Samsung's One UI is better, but I will say that Samsung has come a long way, and I do wish OnePlus could apply a different coat of paint just to try something new one time. I was really impressed with the cameras on the OnePlus 7T. I know reviewers often say that the cameras on OnePlus flagships are good, but they don't compare to other flagships. but I think the line is getting more and more blurry each year. The 7T has 3 primary cameras, the first being a 48 megapixel standard lens, the second being a 13 megapixel wide-angle lens, and the third being a 12 megapixel telephoto lens. The pictures coming from the primary lens are absolutely beautiful. There seems to be some over-sharpening at times, but these flowers were swaying in the wind, and the camera still captured them effortlessly. Thankfully, the same goes for night mode shots. While there are other manufacturers that are known for their night mode shots, the 7T is no slouch. In this picture that I shared in my Poco F2 Pro review, both the Poco and the iPhone SE didn't even compare. If you look at the OnePlus 7T side by side with the Galaxy S10, the S10 might bring in more color and brightness, but the OnePlus retains significantly more detail. The OnePlus was also truer to life as well here, and I prefer the more muted but still beautiful image. The same unfortunately doesn't go for the telephoto lens or portrait mode. It seems like the dynamic range of the telephoto lens is not very good because it struggled to get the balance right in these same flowers from before. I've gotten good portrait shots out of OnePlus cameras, like this one from the 7 Pro, but they're not nearly as reliable as other top-end flagships. The wide-angle lens, which you see now on many more smartphones, adds a ton of versatility that you don't get with the standard lens. So has OnePlus escaped the not quite flagship cameras curse? The answer is up to you. In my eyes, the OnePlus 7T has excellent cameras that should take an incredible photo most of the time, and that's more than good enough for me. So a couple more items before we get to the bottom line. First, the OnePlus 7T has a built-in fingerprint sensor. It's optical and it's really fast, and it made me forget why I ever really wanted to have rear fingerprint sensors instead. Second, there's 2 primary speakers, one being the bottom firing speaker and the other being an amplified earpiece. They're good, but not excellent. I think they're perfectly fine for watching videos, but not if you're in a loud environment. And lastly, the OnePlus 7T does not support wireless charging, unlike the OnePlus 8 Pro that was released this year. The OnePlus 7T is a fantastic phone that absolutely checks all the boxes to be an excellent flagship. Even a year after its release, and even when you can find it for prices under $500, it's still amazing. If you're a T-Mobile customer, you might even be able to get it for $399 from OnePlus's website. So if OnePlus does decide to bring the Nord to the United States, I would skip it anyways, because the OnePlus 7T checks all the boxes for me with a better design, a faster processor, and I would argue better cameras. Thank you for watching InnoIso. This was my 3rd entry in my Phones Under 500 series. If you like this video, be sure to check out my Poco F2 Pro review and my iPhone SE 2020 review. And there are a lot of very competitive phones at this price point, so be sure to subscribe to see more in the future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.